everyone. Welcome to the third grade Module 2, Unit 3 PLC Deep Dive. I'm Lee Stewart, and I'm one of the elementary curriculum specialists with Learning and Teaching. Here is today's session agenda. We will start with an opening activity, go through a Unit 3 overview with an all-block connection. Then we will backwards plan with an emphasis on assessments. Then you will get to see a lesson or task in action, following with the standards and targets of focus, and then we will end our session with the key points and next steps. A quick reminder that you can have access to each of these sections of the video with the timestamp links that are located in the description of this video. Here is our opening activity as we launch the unit. Welcome to Module 2, Unit 3, the exciting culmination of your students' incredible journey into the world of frogs. Everything they've accomplished so far, exploring frog adaptations, writing pourquoi tales, and researching fascinating facts, has prepared them for this moment. Now your students will step into the role of herpetologists as they showcase their learning in a dynamic, hands-on performance task. In this final unit, students will research their very own freaky frog, uncover its unique adaptations, and write a polished, detailed, informational essay. They'll also bring together all of their hard work into a freaky frog book, which includes their pourquoi tale, an informative paragraph, and their essay. To make it even more engaging, they'll design a scientific freaky frog trading card with a diagram and scoring system to share in a game that's going to be so fun and interactive for your class. As you guide them through this process, please remember to help them to celebrate how far they've come. They've mastered key skills like research, note-taking, and organizing information. They've grown as writers, crafting creative narratives and precise informational texts. They've strengthened their grammar, vocabulary, and fluency to express their ideas clearly. This unit ties everything together into a meaningful and exciting final project. Encourage your students to take pride in their journey and embrace the opportunity to think like scientists, write like authors, and create like designers. Let's help them end this unit on a high note with their Freaky Frog book and trading card game. For the opening activity of this PLC, we will take some time to explore the performance task. So, what's the best way to be able to really understand what the performance task asks? Well, for the opening activity of this PLC, you will have 5 minutes to explore the resources that are in your note catcher around the performance task. You will get to see examples of how other schools in CMS have celebrated students' work with Module 2, how they have showcased the Freaky Frog book, as well as a template for their performance tasks. Go ahead and pause the video here and take a few minutes to access and review the opening activity in your note catcher. Later on in this PLC, during the lesson or task in action section, I will carefully walk you through each of the components of the performance task, break down the steps in a simple process, and provide suggestions for efficiency and organization. It's now our time to look at the upcoming unit together. In this section of today's PLC, we will be focusing on the big ideas across both the module and the additional language and literacy block. For part 1 of this section, you're going to unpack the unit overview. Go ahead and access the unit overviews in your teacher's guide manual, as well as the ILC links in your note catcher. You're going to pause the video here and take about 5 minutes to explore the unit overview. As you're exploring both the modules and all block overviews, think of these 4 questions. What is the topic of this unit? What are the tasks of this unit? What are students doing? Which standards targets are explicitly taught and assessed? And then what text do we focus on for this unit? In Unit 3, students will form research groups to become experts on various freaky frogs that have unusual adaptations that help them to survive in extreme environments throughout the world. Students will build their reading, research, writing, and collaborative discussion skills through studying their expert frog. Throughout the module, students will consistently reflect on the role of literacy in building and sharing expertise. They will demonstrate their expertise through a freaky frog book and trading card in the performance task. Students write the second proof paragraph of an informative essay during the mid-unit assessment. Then students revise and edit their informative essay at the end of unit assessment. For the performance task, students compile their pourquoi tales and informational writing pieces from each unit into their Freaky Frog book. Together with their peers, they collaboratively create a Freaky Frog trading card with a scoring system in order to play a trading card game. This performance task aligns with all of the work that they have done so far in this module. The targets and standards that are focused for this unit are listed here. The text that students will use will be selections from the book Everything You Need to Know About Frogs and Other Slippery Creatures, as well as other texts like The Poison Dart Frog, All About the Water-Holding Frog, The Amazon Horned Frog, and Transparent Wonder, and other texts about specific frogs. Remember to continue to pose the big ideas and guiding questions of this unit. How do experts build knowledge and share expertise about a topic? And how do frogs survive? Here is your Unit 3 at a glance. There are 12 lessons in Unit 3 that are taught within 2 to 2.5 weeks. On the top of each box, you will see the module lesson numbers. Underneath the module lesson numbers are your all block lesson numbers. Here is the Unit 3 module lesson progression. In Unit 3, students research a freaky frog and write an informational text. This unit, once again, pulls together what they've learned from earlier in the module about writing stories and using features of an informational text. Here's how the lessons are organized. In Lessons 1 and 2, students read informational text, practice research skills from Unit 2, and take organized notes about their frog. In Lesson 3, they plan their introduction, focusing on a clear main idea and strong details. In Lesson 4, students draft their introduction. In Lesson 5, they plan a body proof paragraph, then take a mid-unit assessment in Lesson 6, which includes answering questions and writing a proof paragraph. In Lessons 7 and 8, students write their conclusion and start revising with a focus on linking words and phrases. In Lessons 9 and 10, they prepare their performance tasks, combining writing from all 3 units to create their Freaky Frog book. This includes designing an engaging cover and refining their essays based on your feedback. In Lesson 11, students create a trading card about their frog, including a diagram with key facts. They play a game using these cards and assemble their final book with writing from Unit 1, Unit 2, and Unit 3. This unit ties together creative and factual writing, helping students develop strong research and writing skills while creating a polished final project. It is highly recommended for you to do some sort of module celebration in Lesson 12 and maybe invite parents and other students from other grade levels to come and see all the work that the students have done in this module on their performance task. For part 2 of this section, we're going to now focus on unpacking the lessons. You are going to pause the video here and take about 15 minutes to review the unit at a glance in both the teacher's guide and or the links in your note catcher. The unit at a glance are on pages 324 to 328 in your module's teacher guide, and then on pages 206 to 211 in your all block teacher's guide. As you are reviewing the unit at a glance, I would like for you to think of these two questions. What patterns do you notice in the module lessons? What connections do you see between the module lessons and the all block lessons? Here are the patterns that I have noticed as I unpacked each lesson in the modules and the all block teacher guided group. I noticed that in Unit 3, students really get to dive into their research about their very own freaky frog that they've been learning about. The goal here is to write an informational essay, but it's more than just writing. It's about pulling together everything they've learned so far. In Lesson 1, they start by reading informational text and practicing research strategies from Unit 2. Using these skills, they take notes and organize their findings about their chosen frog. This continues into Lesson 2, where they refine their research and focus on gathering the details they've used in their writing. As they gather information, students move into planning their writing in Lesson 3, starting with crafting their introductions. They think carefully about focus statements and how to share details that will make their writing clear and interesting. Once the introductions are planned, they draft them in Lesson 4 and begin building the body of their essays in Lesson 5 with the proof paragraphs, where they present the evidence and facts they've researched. About halfway through this unit in Lesson 6, students complete their mid-unit assessment to show what they've learned so far. They answer a few multiple choice questions and write a solid proof paragraph to demonstrate their ability to know structure and present information clearly. With the information and body underway, it's time to write a strong conclusion in Lesson 7. Afterwards, students begin revising it in Lesson 8. They focus on using linking words to connect ideas and improving their word choices to make their writing really shine. They also take time to edit for grammar, spelling, and punctuation. By the time they get to Lesson 9, they're ready for the big performance task, creating their Freaky Frog book. They bring together everything they've written so far in this module: the pourquoi tell from Unit 1, the informational paragraph from Unit 2, and their full informational essay from Unit 3. Part of this process includes designing an eye-catching cover and thinking about what makes a book inviting for readers. In Lesson 10, students tackle one final assessment. They revise their polished essay with teacher feedback to make sure they're ready for their final showcase. As a fun way to finish their Freaky Frog book in Lesson 11, they get to create a trading card featuring their Freaky Frog. These cards aren't just informational, they're also a part of a game they're going to play with their classmates. In the end, students compile their books and celebrate all their hard work they put into researching, writing, and creating. Let's take a look at the alignment between all block. The module lessons and all block lessons are closely aligned to reinforce the literacy skills, grammar, and writing development, providing additional practice and deeper understanding. Here's how they connect. Module lessons 3 through 6 directly aligns with the week 1 all block lessons. In these two components, students get additional practice with reading fluency to support the informational text that they are reading in modules, as well as diving deeper into complex sentences to break down the comprehension for the text that they are also reading in module. Module lessons 8 through 11 directly aligns with all block lessons in week 2. In these components, students get additional practice with writing with informational patterns and working on words that begin with the in and prefix to practice vocabulary. As you can see, the all block lessons reinforce skills introduced in the module lessons, such as grammar, fluency, and elaboration, providing essential scaffolding and practice. This alignment ensures students are well prepared to succeed in the culminating performance task. Here is your all block Unit 3 overview for each of the components. In addition, I have also provided the all block Unit 3 Week 1 and Week 2 catch and release. Here is your all block connection. If you didn't catch it earlier during the lesson unpacking, you can clearly see that the module lessons and all block lessons align closely, with each complementing each other to build key literacy skills. In the modules, students focus on research, essay writing, and project creation, such as using future tense verbs in Lesson 2, drafting introductions in Lesson 4, and crafting proof paragraphs in Lesson 5. The all block reinforces these skills through targeted practice like analyzing subordinating conjunctions in Week 1, Day 2, exploring informational writing patterns in Week 2, Day 1, and developing elaborative writing in Week 2, Day 3. Together, these lessons ensure students master grammar, fluency, vocabulary, and writing organization, preparing them for the final Freaky Frog book and trading card project. It's now our time to backwards plan. Here we will look at the mid and end of unit assessments to understand the rigor and level of learning that needs to take place. Here is your Unit 3 module lesson progression with the emphasis on the assessments. The mid-unit assessment occurs on Lesson 6, and the end-of-unit assessment occurs in Lesson 10. In Lessons 9, 11, and 12 is where students will be working towards their performance tasks. Go ahead and pause the video here and take about 15 minutes to review the assessments in your note catcher or Modules Teacher's Guide. You will find the Lesson 6 Mid-Unit Assessment on page 394 in your Modules Teacher's Guide. You will find the Lesson 10 End-of-Unit Assessment on page 436. You will also find the Performance Tasks on page 17. As you're reviewing the assessments and performance tasks, think of these two questions. What will be expected of my students at the end of this unit? And how does the mid-unit assessment support the end-of-unit assessment? Make sure you jot down your notes in your note catcher. In Unit 3, students draft and revise their Freaky Frog books to prepare for their performance tasks. For the mid-unit assessment, students draft a proof paragraph that will be included in their informational text. As their end-of-unit assessment, students revise and finalize their informational essays using from their teacher feedback. Each Unit 3 assessment also includes a multiple choice assessment that is optional. Let's break down each of the assessments. For the mid-unit assessment, there are two parts. However, Part 1 of the assessment is optional. This is where students answer selected response questions. In Part 2, which is required, students write the first draft of the second proof paragraph for their informational text about the unique adaptations of their frog. There is also a sample proficient response provided to guide you in your grading. Notice how the proficient response captures all the expectations that are listed on the rubric. The end-of-unit assessment, which takes place in Lesson 10, also has two parts. I noticed in the unit overview, it says Part 1 of the assessment, students revise and write a final draft of their informative essay about their chosen frog. In Part 2, students answer selected response questions targeting assessment of language standards. This is incorrect and it is backwards. So as you're looking for each part of the assessment, just know that even though it says Part 1, it's actually Part 2. So they are reversed in the printing. This is an error from L Education. So make sure that students are completing the part of the assessment where they are revising and writing a final draft of their informative essay about their chosen freaky frog. There is also a sample proficient response for the end of unit assessment. Go ahead and pause the video here and take about 15 minutes to review the sample proficient responses and the rubrics for each assessment. And jot down your notices and wonderings in your note catcher. As you're looking at both, think of this question. Why is it important for teachers to use a sample exemplar and rubric when evaluating speaking and/or writing? It's time for you to get a chance to see an upcoming lesson or task in action. Today you will get to see how each unit contributes to the performance task. We will review an in-depth step-by-step process of how the performance task aligns with the lessons and activities within the module. Throughout this module, students generated writing to be included in their Freaky Frog book. Their book should contain their pourquoi narrative written in Unit 1, their informational writing from Unit 2, a 3-paragraph informational writing that they will write in Unit 3. In addition, students create a Freaky Frog trading card within Unit 3 to play a fun Freaky Frog trading card game. In each Freaky Frog book, they should begin with a front cover. The front cover should include large, clear image showing what the book is about, large, easy-to-read font, a short title telling the reader about what the book is about, the publisher or author, and even advertising a free gift inside. Students will complete this in Lesson 9 of Unit 3. After the front cover, students should create a table of contents explaining the components that are in their Freaky Frog book, as well as a space to hold their Freaky Frog trading card. Here is a step-by-step process with lessons and activities of how each unit contributes to the performance task. In Unit 1, starting with lessons 9 through 13, students learn and write pourquoi tales that explain unique frog characteristics, focusing on narrative structure, descriptive details, and language skills like comparative and superlative adjectives. They began planning their narrative with a template that includes the situation, the characters, a problem, a response to that problem, a solution or resolution to the problem, and wrapping it up with the point. Then students move on to create a new narrative and answer a new why question with the same format. This time, they need to make sure they are planning to include linking words and phrases. They plan for the beginning, which is the situation. They introduce the characters. They also describe a problem that is happening in their narrative. And explain how the characters respond to the problem. Provide a solution or resolution to the problem. And then the point of how this problem was resolved and what is the message or purpose of their narrative. In Unit 2, starting with Lessons 10, students write an informative paragraph using research notes to explain how a frog's habitat affects its appearance and behavior. They start thinking about and collecting evidence about the frogs that they have learned. This includes facts and details, as well as elaboration. Once they have collected all of their details and facts, they start a draft to answer the question, how does where a frog lives affect how it looks and or acts? In Lesson 11, they focus on revising and editing their paragraph with linking words and conventions. In Lesson 12, during the end of Unit 2 assessment, students write a final informative paragraph about poison dart frogs to demonstrate mastery and to be included in the performance task of their Freaky Frog book. In Unit 3, in Lessons 1 through 6, students get to research their chosen Freaky Frog by collecting facts and details and elaboration on how does this help the frog survive. After that, they begin drafting their essays and take a mid-unit assessment where they write a proof paragraph about frog adaptations. After they write their 3-paragraph essay draft, they begin to compile their final draft with the first paragraph, the second paragraph, and the third paragraph. The final draft of their informative paragraphs will go into their Freaky Frog book. Now we're in Unit 3. In Lesson 11, students begin creating their Freaky Frog trading card. Their trading card must include a scientific diagram, bullet points of the frog's key traits, and a scoring system for the trading game. They do this as they plan out their card with a graphic organizer. This is what the front of the card should look like. This is what the back of the card should look like. Here's another example of a different Freaky Frog trading card with a scientific drawing and key facts on the front, and a scoring system on the back that includes a score for color, size, camouflage, poison, or any other additional adaptations that students want to include. We complete the Freaky Frog book by creating a back cover. This also happens in Lesson 9 of Unit 3. The back cover should include a short description of the book with no more than a few sentences. There can also be a price of the book, the publisher for the book, a barcode, as well as any images that students would like to include. Their blurb should include interesting questions and information that actually wants to make readers look inside their book. We're now going to look over the learning targets for the unit. Here is where we'll make a connection between activities and learning goals, as well as unpack key standards, learning progressions, and tasks in both modules and the additional language and literacy block. Pause the video here and take about 15 minutes to review the unit at a glance. In both teacher's guide manuals for module and all block, just like you did for the unit Unpacking. You may also access these links in ILC in your note catcher. As you're looking at the unit at a glance, you're going to look at it from a standards point of view. You're going to highlight the standards in each lesson that aligns to the unit assessment standards. I have listed the assessment standards here. When you see a standard that aligns with the mid-unit assessment, highlight those lessons in blue. When you see a standard that aligns with the end of unit assessment, highlight those in your lessons in yellow. If you see a standard that aligns with the performance task, go ahead and highlight those in purple or pink in your unit at a glance. I hope that you will see that after highlighting and pulling out where the standards explicitly show up that is being taught and assessed, you will see that students have multiple opportunities in both modules and all block to prepare them for the mid-unit assessment, the end of unit assessment, as well as the performance tasks. Looking back, we know that in Unit 1, it prepared our students to have the foundation for narrative writing and understanding of storytelling elements. We built on that in Unit 2 by students really getting to break down their narrative skills and research skills. In Unit 3 is all about integrating the research and writing skills from both Units 1 and 2 and emphasizing the final revision and assessment. This all pulls together in their performance task. Let's recap our key points from today's PLC, review reminders and upcoming events, and get a glimpse into our next PLC time together. Today we unpacked Unit 3, going over the big ideas and 4 T's. We also looked for patterns in module, all block, with an emphasis with the all block connection to modules. We also backwards planned by unpacking the assessments and looked for where and when do these assessed standards show up. We also took a look at the unit alignment and connections within Unit 3 with the focus on standards and targets. You also got to experience how each unit contributes to the performance tasks with a step-by-step process with lessons and activities. Here are your next steps. Remember to subscribe and watch the weekly 3rd grade ELA tidbits. Subscribe to our YouTube channel playlists and watch the 3rd grade lesson videos for modeling of key skills and tasks. Make sure you plan for an end of module celebration with your class and send and share photos of your and your students in action. Up next, you will see the Module 3 Unit 1 Deep Dive as it will be released on January 13th, 2025. It will be available on the All Things Literacy 3rd grade Curriculum Support Canvas page. Here's a glimpse into what Module 3. Get ready as we dive and explore into the world of literary classics. Thank you so much for watching today's PLC Deep Dive. Your feedback is so important to us. Remember to complete the literacy survey and feel free to reach out if you have any questions regarding the curriculum.